We showed a lot of grit, determination, resiliency, whatever you want to call it, in the last game. And you got to give our players a lot of credit for that. Showed great competitive character and being able to come back in the game. We had to overcome a lot of adversity, some of which we created for ourselves, some they created. Obviously, the things that, we created, we need to correct so that maybe we don't have, some of those issues, in the future. It's nice to see Will Anderson be the SEC Player of the Week again. I think, this is a great opportunity for our team to be in the SEC championship game. They worked hard all year for it. They're going to play a great team in Georgia. Georgia's the number one team in the country. They've been the most consistent team, all year long in terms of how they've sustained their performance and played at a high level, dominated the competition just about every game that they've played. I think that's, a reflection of Kirby. He's done a great job. They have, a mature team that plays with a lot of competitive character. And, they're the number one defense in the country. They've got a lot of good players on defense. They've had a lot of create a lot of negative plays, sack, pressure the quarterback, tackles for loss. And, their offense has been very, very efficient. They're scoring 40 points a game. Quarterbacks played outstanding football for them. He's one of the leading pass efficiency guys, in the country. They're able to run the ball with great balance. They've got two great running backs that both contribute equally. And, they got really good skill players outside. 19 is really a good tight end. Is actually the leading receiver on the team, and a very athletic guy who creates a lot of mismatch issues for you in the passing game. They're great. They're very good on special teams. This is a complete team, and it'll be a tremendous challenge for our players to, play well. That's obviously the goal, and we got to have the right mindset and good preparation, all week long to be able to do that.
We'll start with Nick Kelly.
You talked post-game some of the issues on the O-line. What are some of the things you feel are correctable up front in pass protection and run blocking?
I think we got to play more physical. I think we got to be more aggressive in terms of, how we come out of our hips, play with power, whatever it is. We got to try to dictate, when we're in the run game and get moving. We did a better job of that in the second half. And we got to give our players, a good chance with some advantage runs when we do try to run the ball. So pass protection was an issue at times, but, we just got to do a better job of, staying square. Quarterback's got to do a good job in the pocket so that, the O-line knows where he's going to be. So there's a lot of things that, we need to work on when it comes to pressures. We got to have a good plan for how we block them. And, there's a lot of things that I think we're capable of improving. And I have a lot of confidence that the players will go about it the right way to try to get that done this week.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande.
Yeah, what makes this Georgia defense unique in 2021 in a era of offense, era of college football dominated by offensive football?
Well, I think they've been very good on defense for several years. They were very good on defense last year, too. They got a lot of the guys back that are experienced, in that regard. They play a good system. They have a good scheme. They're well coached, and they have really good players. And they play hard. I mean, they play with, a lot of toughness. They're fast reactors. They're very instinctive. So, they got a combination of a good scheme and really good, well coached, and a lot of good players who make a lot of plays by playing, sort of team defense. They don't mess up a lot. They do what they're supposed to do, and they're pretty confident in the way they do it.
We will go to Aaron Suttles.
Without knowing Brian Robinson's availability this week, have you ever been in a situation where you're down to one scholarship running back? And What sort of challenges does that create through the week in practice up until game time?
Well, to answer your question, the first part is no. The second part is, we have to coach the players that we have, and we got to get them ready to play the game. There's nothing else we can do about that. Injuries are part of the game. You don't ever like to see any player, not be able to compete, especially when they've had a great year all year long and probably want to play in this game because of that. But we, as a coach, you just have to coach the players and try to get the players ready that you have available to play in the game, and have confidence in them and try to do the things that they can do well to help the team.
Next, we will go to Charlie Potter. Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Coach. When you guys were recruiting Willie Anderson, what's maybe the biggest thing that stood out to you when you were evaluating him as a prospect?
Oh, we loved Will Anderson in high school. We had great size. You could see the initial quickness, explosive power. We didn't know for sure if he'd end up being a stand-up player or end up playing down. And he kind of does both for us now and does both very well. So he's certainly been everything that we thought he would be. And I think that's because of the kind of person he is, the kind of competitive character he has, the leadership qualities that he has. The guy's always trying to get better.
We'll go to Jeff Spiegel.
Yeah, Nick, you've had 3 SEC games in a row that were really close games. What does that say about how battle-tested your team is, and how important is that going into a game like this?
I can't answer the second part of that question. I think the key to the drill is you got to try to win every play when you play in games like this, and you got to keep battling for 60 minutes in the game. You hear the old adage, play one play at a time, but I think that's probably more important, in games like this than any games that you play. We've had to do that several times. Does that help us? I really don't know the answer to that. Hopefully our players can stay focused and, play one play at a time and play the next play, whether we had a good play or a bad play, so that we can try to play with the utmost consistency possible in the game and not get frustrated, keep our poise, and, sort of show the same kind of resiliency that we've had to show, this latter part of the season.
We'll go to John Zener.
Kind of along the same lines, what does it say about your offense that y'all kept, they kind of kept battling and finally got going late in the game after struggling, knowing you're going to face some adversity facing this defense?
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, we need to execute better. We need to create more positive down and distance situations for ourselves. We can't have as many negative plays, which is what this defense thrives on relative to, their pressure and the way they do things, up front. So we it's going to be difficult to continue to kind of overcome those circumstances. The best way to overcome them is not allow them to happen to start with, because you execute and the players are confident in, who they have to block, what they have to do, and knowing that the other team's got really good players, you're going to have to play the best you can all year, best you have all year.
Go to Stuart Mandel.
Nick, another Willie Anderson question. It's traditionally been very hard, if not impossible, for a defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy, because you just, you don't see them on the screen every play like you do a quarterback or running back. How would you describe to people the impact he has had for you guys, and how important he has been for you this season?
Well, I think he's been one of the most productive players in college football, as a defensive player. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. He's a very consistent player. He's very disciplined in terms of doing his job, and does it with, tremendous effort and toughness. So I don't know that there's a lot of good football players out there on both sides of the ball, but he's done as much for our team as anybody ever has. And I don't know how that equates into recognition, or how you compare him to other positions, or how you compare him to other players in the country, because I don't get to see those guys all the time. But he's done as much for us as anybody could ever hope for.
We're not going to be able to get to everybody today, but we're going to finish up with Mike Griffin.
Coach, Kirby said that he simplified some things on defense. Obviously, you guys had some success last year. What do you see as some of the differences in the back of the Georgia defense from a year ago?
Well, I think that I don't know that I see a lot of differences. I think they do a really good job up front. They do a really good job in the back end. They try to disguise what they're doing. Their corners probably play off a little bit more than they play, up on people. I don't know what their plan will be against us, but I think they're outstanding, and maybe they have simplified things, but they're still really aggressive and do a lot of very, very good things that are have made them the best defense in the country.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We'll get to players here in just